For my humble Sai Rams at the Lotus Feet of our Divine Lord and Master, Bhagwan Sathya Sai Avathar, and Om Sai Rams, the loving viewer. So, my name is Sai Avathar. I am from Bayview Sai Center, Chatsworth Region 2, and today I am here with Uncle Balan, the president of Chatsworth Region 2. So, this is going to be another episode of the His Divine Series. And I'm just going to ask you a few questions. So the first question to kickstart our interview, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Firstly, my loving Sai Rams to the Lotus Feet, for Divine Master, Bhagwan, Sai Avathar, loving Sai Rams.
Okay.
So a little bit of myself in terms of my personal life.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually 51 years old. I've been in the organization now for over 35 years. In terms of my career, I'm a quantity surveyor. I work for a construction company. I'm married, two children, and I guess most of my time I spend outside of work, in activities within the organization.
Very impressive. So my next question is, how did you come to Swami?
Well, it's a long story, but basically, my mom and dad were very ardent devotees of Bhagwan. They used to attend bhajans at the Hillside Sai Center quite regularly. I believed in Swami, but time was mine, and was mine alone to decide where I wanted to spend it. I was a keen football player, and my Thursdays are generally taken up with football practice, and on weekends we were playing matches. But somehow or the other, me and my friends always found the time to attend satsang on a Sunday morning. No matter how late we came back, we still found the time to attend bhajans on a Sunday. And from there, my yearning to see Swami grew. And eventually I started attending bhajans on a Thursday, a little bit more regularly.
Very nice. I can relate with time as a youth. It's not very, we don't have a lot of it. So my next question is, everybody goes through challenges in life. So what are some of the challenges that you faced that Swami has really helped you
Well, like I said, when you're young, you're quite impressionable. The first challenge you face in terms of what career path you want to go on, and how do you want to lead your life. And I think the challenge was me deciding firstly on what career. And coincidentally, when I left it as Swami's feet, the career that I eventually chose was not one I even had in my mind, when I was studying. And there's a lot of things happening in life that we don't really relate it. I think there is coincidence. And when I really started to see the changes happen in myself, then I had the opportunity of going to China. And I wasn't working at that time, and I was working part-time. And here again, it's a miracle that I actually went to Shanti. Because when I was working part-time, after I had completed my studies, I couldn't get a job in the industry that I was in. So I managed to secure a job as a limited duration period in a chemical company, in the Supreme packing rat poison and dog collars, etc. And my ambition then was to save enough money to actually go to China. And 3 months into my first appointment career as such, the company decided, they lost a big sort of client and then they need to change some of us. And being LDC, we were the first to go. But during the period, now I think back on it, soccer was something that I didn't want to give up for Swami, but it actually helped me in terms of retaining my position there for a longer period. Because we're playing this tournament, and when they released me, the permanent employees went to management and said, no, they have to keep me because I'm an integral part of the team. And that managed me, another 6 months of work. And I eventually saved enough to get to Sunday. And typically at that time, I'd written down everything that I wanted to happen in my life, the challenges I was going through, like finding a job. You're so apprehensive in thinking about if you don't have a job, how is the rest of your life going to go? But I managed to get there, and to be told every single thing that was written in that letter started to unravel when I got back. It was just pure coincidence that when I got back, I received a call from a company that I had an interview with before I went. And they said, listen, you need to come in for the interview very urgently. And when I got to that interview, they said, can you start on Monday? Monday being the 31st of the month, not even the end of the month. So from then, you can see that every challenge that I face, always when you put everything on, you get answers.
Swami works in stadiums. Okay, so next, what is your favorite bhajan?
Favorite bhajan? Yeah. My favorite bhajan is Guru Sadhguru.
Okay, would you mind singing like a little bit?
I wouldn't mind singing. But early on in our brief conversation, I told you, I generally don't like to sing in public. But like you said, when I was the president of Haven Sai Center, I had to encourage devotees to attend bhajan practice. And Swami says, in terms of the Mahabharata leadership, first you got to be before you tell. And that prompted me then to start going to bhajan practice. Yeah, I'm not the best of singers, but I at least know a good. So maybe I'll just sing.
Yeah.
Guru Sadhguru Sai Rams.
Well, everyone's so caught up in the rat race of life, you barely have time to do much, as you said. So my next question is, how do you prioritize Swami in your life?
Well, when you say priority, when Swami becomes part of your life, when the first thing you do, you think of him, and the last thing you think of him, that's what makes you priority. But just to say he's a priority in your life is not something that's tangible. When you actually make him part of your life, every single thing and every single thing you do throughout the day, when you put him first, you ask yourself, will you be happy? Am I an example in terms of what he should be, what he expects from us? When you go throughout that day and you realize that Swami is always there and you leave everything in his feet, no matter what challenge you face, then I think that's putting Swami first and making him priority. And when you attend, generally we talk about attending functions. When you got an activity, a lot of the time we say, hey, I can't make it, I got a wedding. But at the same time, you've got a Sai activity. So when you prioritize him, you suddenly see that you will have time for everything.
That's right off. So you just spoke about how you prioritize Swami and how you put him first, whatever you do. So what about Swami keeps you so connected?
Swami is always the best friend. And when you connect to Swami, anything you do good, that's your connection. Because remember, all the teaching that you have, you do not practice it. It's actually worthless. And when you think of him in all aspects of your life, not only when you come to Sathya, and the activities that you do, especially seva, conducting seva, is enjoyable. When you feel a sense of accomplishment, you feel such a bliss. Because at the end of the day, whatever you do in terms of seva activity, exactly what you want to do. And if you don't feel that bliss, then that's a lot.
So, with the ashrams have been closed for quite a while because of COVID. And now with the reopening of ashrams, How do you think that devotees can rekindle the same dedication and this loving connection to Swami?
Like you said, I'm the regional president. And the problem is that during this COVID, we not only just got disconnected in terms of people who are not coming in contact with people. Somehow or the other, we lost this connection. And it's not me speaking, it's a lot of devotees that I've spoken to somehow seem to have lost that connection. But I think with the ashrams opening, now you can have that heart-to-heart, that one-on-one interaction. Because Swami says that in anything that you do, you've got to be the example, number one. Number two is that you've got to follow good examples. So when you come to the ashram, you are meeting like-minded people. You are meeting people that's going to inspire you. You are going to get the opportunities in terms of activities that is going to help you in your spiritual growth. So I think by opening the ashrams and everybody attending, I think we can certainly start to raise our spiritual level.
What advice do you have for the young adults of the Sai tradition?
In terms of giving out advice, experiences is very important. So when you experience something, then that's the best teacher. And like I said, once I started to believe that I was a youth in the organization. Like I said, time. Right at the beginning of the loop, time is something that most of the young adults don't see. But it's not about the time that we do, it's about how well we use the time that we do. And if we dedicate time to doing activities in the organization with an open heart and an open mind, and always with a good intention. If your intention is coming there to make sure that you come and participate in that activity wholeheartedly and not have in the back of your mind there's a time constraint, I need to do this and I need to do that. The whole benefit of that activity, you reap those benefits because suddenly you will see that there's more time you will have in the day. For us to be in this organization for such a long time, means that we don't just lead a monk's life. We have other aspects of life. We're married, we've got other responsibilities, we've got a career. But somehow or the other, when you put and prioritize Swami, all this falls into place. Because you will have enough time to accomplish whatever you do.
Okay, I understand everything. So, what is your favorite pastime activity that involves Swami in your life?
Well, I don't know what is the pastime that involves Swami, but like I said, most of the time we spend in activities in the organization. And what has always been my passion is Seva. Seva is the one that drew me into the organization as such. I also believe it gives you an opportunity in all aspects of your spiritual growth. Where it teaches you to be humble, respect your brothers and sisters. And it's very, very enjoyable, to the camaraderie that you go to. And it also makes you think how lucky we are, to be in this organization. Because there's so much of opportunities that we have. So in terms of a pastime, I enjoy watching football a lot. I enjoy sports. And even there too, Swami is teaching people. You've got to play hard, but you've got to play fair. You've got to be playing the spirit of the game. So most of my time, in terms of pastime, is engaging myself.
Thank you for taking the time off your busy schedule and to speak to us and the viewers about your many experiences with Swami and happening so much. I'm sure the youth can take valuable lessons away from this.
If I can just make one more thing, one more point with regards to youth. Having a career in construction, I come across a lot of youth, and who's starting to forge their way into the industry. But this is something that generally happens in all industry. The one thing that I see is that somehow or the other, we feel that we've got to give up some of our principles and our morals in terms of starting to indulge in some of the vices, so that we think that we are going to succeed and promote the career that we have. And one thing important advice to don't ever think that by changing who you are, by giving up your morals, indulging in all these things, may help you in your career growth. Remember, whatever company you're working for, whatever business you're in there because of the skills that you have. Okay? It's not about who you're going to be and how you're going to climb the corporate ladder. So we should not compromise anything. We shouldn't be ashamed to say that we are part of this organization. We shouldn't be ashamed to say that we, in a spiritual organization that teaches us that we shouldn't indulge in all these things. And if you stick to all those principles, you have a very, very steadfast road in terms of career and life.
So with that, I would like to end today's session. And Sai Rams to one and all.
Okay, so thank you for that.
Thank you.